Hi, in the last episode you would have seen Chad making the apron rails for the Asian Inspired Nightstand. Well, today watch me as I make this drawer. If you watched the introductory video you would have seen me cut these parts to rough size to allow them to acclimate a lot quicker. Well, now it's time to trim them down to a snug fit before I make the drawer and then fit the drawer by planing it to size. The front of the drawer is going to be attached by half blind or lapped dovetails, so let's get that done first. The dovetail length is determined by the thickness of the front and the allowance you leave for the lap, and that's marked around the end of the drawer side. The thickness of the drawer sides is then used to determine how deep the sockets need to be for the dovetails on the front. The sides of the dovetails are marked either with a dovetail marking gauge or with a bevel gauge onto the drawer sides. For the drawer front, they will actually be copied from the sides once they've been sawn. I think it makes a lot of sense to gang up the drawer sides and cut them together. You need to make sure that the saw cut is perpendicular to the face of the drawer sides, so having more there gives you more reference for your saw. Once you've established your curve, keep your saw at the same angle. The worst thing you can do is try and change the direction of the cut as you proceed through it. It's not important that you stay directly on the lines. As you remove the waste material, the important thing is not to go over your lines. Marking the pins in the drawer front directly from the tails means they should go together nicely. It's a bit tricky where I've left a very skinny pin in the middle, but a scalpel just about gets through there. To ensure a nice clean fit, I like to just leave the lines as I saw, and then after that chop the material from between the pins. And then I just pare away gradually back to my lines. Heavy chopping of the socket baseline at this point here can push the line back because of the bevel on the chisel. So just take it a little bit at a time to begin with until you've got plenty of material to back up the back of the chisel. So at this point I can chop a little bit harder. The simple plywood base is going to be held in grooves ploughed into the sides and the front of the drawer. Now to make sure I don't plough them on the wrong side, I've marked those in with pencil at this point. I'm going to use a plough plane for the job. And I've done a little sample piece to make sure it's in the right place and to the right depth. And before I actually plough on the main material, I'm just scoring lines in with a mortising gauge just to help avoid any tear out. Some planes, including this one, have nickers which can be engaged on either side of the cut to reduce any problem of tear out, but with such a narrow blade, one of the skates on the plane has to be removed, and that means that one of the nickers is missing. The usual method I use when ploughing is to start near the far end, take short cuts, gradually increasing the length of those cuts. So we've actually got a ramped groove at the moment. Keep going like that until you get to the full length, and then keep taking shavings at the full length. And what you'll find is that the depth stop on the plane will stop it cutting at the far end first of all, and you keep planing and eventually you get full depth the whole way. I'm deviating slightly from the plans here, which just call for a back that's rebaited into the sides. I'm going to actually insert my back into a groove or dado, just a little ways back from the far back of the drawer. That just gives it a bit more strength, and I'm also going to make sure it doesn't come apart by putting some dovetailed pins in there as well. So I'll start by making the groove, and that only needs to be from the ploughed groove for the base of the drawer up to the top. Watch the finishing video to see how I change the colour of the drawer front and make its figure really pop. With all the joints fitted and the front of the drawer coloured, it's time to assemble it. So a little glue in the joints and gradually put them all together. Now I doubt very much whether the back of this drawer will ever fall out, but here's a quick way of making sure that it doesn't. Now, because we prepared all the parts for our drawer to be a snug fit in the drawer box, there's no way that the drawer itself is going to run smoothly in there at the moment. It just won't fit. But that's to our advantage, because it means that we can fit it perfectly by just planing off a little bit at a time and any of the parts that are actually binding, sneaking up on the perfect fit. A plywood bottom is cut to fit perfectly in the ploughed sides and front of the drawer, and just overlapping the back. We need to test it to make sure it hasn't thrown the shape of the drawer out and that the drawer still fits perfectly. The back's fitted with just a single screw in a slotted hole at the back of the base and into a hole that goes into the back of the drawer. Don't forget to check out Chad's channel for the next episode in the series, where he'll be making the tabletop. And he goes a bit off plan to show a different method of attaching the wings. Now, to get your hands on a set of these plans for free, go along to the Just Giving page and support this build, where there's also a chance, if enough of you support it, for one of you to actually win the finished nightstand. And also, all of you will be credited in the videos.